Right, welcome to workout 8, core workout 8. This is for a duration of 9 minutes 30 seconds, 13 exercises in total, 30 seconds of work with a 15 seconds of rest. This morning we've got Michelle, who's going to be performing these exercises with us, so we'll go through technique and variations if need be. So once we start the buzzer, 30 seconds of work, Michelle is going to start with the plank builder. So almost into a push-up position, and then you can see Michelle's dropping down into what they call a low plank. Low plank is forearms on elbows. You can see perfect technique. Heels is forward, hips is slightly up, but enough to make sure that the abdominals are contracted all the way throughout. So extended arms, back down. So go the speed that you feel that you can. Last few seconds, Michelle. Then we get, that's your signal for a 15 seconds rest. Exercise number 2 is a Kong hop 4. So if you've done Kongs before, we're going to Kong for 4, then hop. 3, 2, 1. So rather than coming in on one Kong, you come in for 4 and then you kick out just like a donkey, like up, that's it. Back into that plank position, come in for 4. You're not quite hitting that full Kong position, and as soon as you get forward on your toes, then the heels kick off, perfect. And then you're almost landing back into position, really testing your center abs on this one. So another 15 seconds worth of rest. Exercise number 3 is a plank jack. So hips up slightly, strong arms. 2, 1. That's it. So you're holding the plank and nothing's moving except your feet going out wide and then back in. Trying to keep light on your toes, but at the same time you're keeping your hips fixed and firm so that your abdominals are working throughout rather than relaxed. Your hips would drop, you wouldn't engage your abdominals. 30 seconds in total. Just a nice pace. You can see Michelle's not going too fast, just going that little bit slow so she can feel the effort. 15 seconds worth of rest, and the next exercise is ski abs. So ski abs is a kind of oblique variation to a squat thrust. So rather than feet coming in to go left to right, that's it, back. So you can see you need to really fix on your feet when they go back to the center. Your knees are driving to the left elbows and then to the right, always returning back to the center. A lot more challenging than your standard squat thrust, and that's because as well in your abdominals you're also working your obliques. 15 seconds rest coming up, Michelle. Exercise number 5 is a plank with oblique knee drives. Bit of a mouthful. For a strong plank position, and you drive your left 3 and right outside of your elbow. So you'll see Michelle takes position nice and strong, and look how when the knee comes up, Michelle's looking at the knee that's coming up. That's really going to make sure that you engage your obliques, the muscle that sits above your hips and joins to your abdominals. So it's slow and controlled. You're not firing them in fast as you can and trying to rush it and work your heart and lungs. We're trying to hit your obliques throughout all of this. Last 5 seconds, there's a signal. 15 seconds rest. You're finding that you really need these 15 seconds now. Surprising how you put these exercises together. C fold. So it's one exercise rather than being in that T position, we're going to C position. 1. We're trying to fold as we come in. That's it. So we squeeze in. So you can see Michelle trying to reduce the angle on the hips. Chest comes up and a slight movement in from the knees. Squeeze in and out. In and out. Under control. Always keep the legs fixed. Just a slight bend at the knee. And the squeeze in at the knees and then push back out. C fold. .15 seconds worth of rest, and then we're going to do plank with the outer heel touch. So this will appear like a climber, climb as if you're doing a climbing action, but you're going to bring in one knee at a time and you touch your outer heel. So you can see for a moment you're holding all your weight on one arm. So that's really going to challenge your core a lot more than say a climber, because you're having to really engage the side that you're holding, the opposite side that you're holding the arm. So you can see how slow and controlled Michelle's going, and this will get a better feel than going fast. If you go fast, you might find that you don't hold on one arm. 15 seconds rest, V-raise. So it's like you see, but a lot more upright. We're trying to get the feet in a much higher position and straighter legs. C-fold, that's it. So you can see how you create more of an angle on the hips. And you can see Michelle's coming up and reaching, almost touching the shoelaces. If you can't get shoelaces, just aim for ankles. If you can't get ankles, aim for shins. And if you're really struggling, aim for knees. Just always give yourself that limitation to what you can achieve. Last 5 seconds coming up. Excellent. Well done, Michelle. Next exercise after 15 seconds rest is low plank thrusts. So it's like a squat thrust, but rather than extended, we go down. And then you'll see Michelle just carries out a normal squat thrust, where it's a lot more restricted, because you can see that there's not clearance on her knees because you're that close to the floor. You're restricted on your abdominals, which is really going to intensify the hit on the abdominals. Really tough, this one, after you've done a squat thrust, to try with your elbows on the floor and restrict that angle on your hips. Coming up, last 5 seconds, Michelle. 15 seconds worth of rest. And the next one we don't actually move, which might seem as if you're getting a rest, but it's just a C hold. So that C fold that we had where we're folding in, you just hold the C position.
2, 1.
Right, and to show you, it's no rest. So you can feel shoulder blades are slightly up off the floor. You're trying to keep your legs not totally straight because you want to engage lower, so you can see that you've got that angle there. And shoulder blades, I shouldn't be able to touch on the floor. So it's just that little squeeze up to engage upper and middle abdominals. We get this done, the end's in sight. We've got 3 exercises after this. 5 seconds to go, 15 seconds rest. So we're going to go into C hold, low plank climbers.
3, 2, 1.
So the only difference, we're going to climb. So alternative knees. So we've done the thrust. The thrust, you work both knees. Very similar exercise. All we're doing is splitting a thrust. So you can see firing in left and then right, and you're trying to bring them in and aiming for the backs of the arms. "15 seconds rest." Kongs, straightforward kongs. Earlier Michelle did Kong hop 4. This time we're just going to do a straightforward Kong. Narrow hands, wide feet. We try to come out really wide with the feet, and we try to hit the heels down, and then there's just a little look up to push your backside down. So rather than keeping your chest facing the floor, there's a little look up there, and that makes sure that you totally get your heels flat on the floor, and then a little look up. Last 10 seconds. "15 seconds rest." And your final one, 30 seconds, is plank to hike. So you start an extended arm plank position.
3, 2, 1.
And all you do is you walk the toes in, get as far in as you can, backside rides up. Once you feel that stretch in your hamstring and calves and you've gone as far as you can, then walk it back. Get to your plank. That's called a hike or a pike plank. So all you're doing is moving between a plank and a hike or a pike. Really good for a nice stretch on the backs of your legs, as well as really hitting the tops of your abdominals. Last 5 seconds and we're all done, Michelle. Up. Here comes the countdown. And done. Excellent. And that is the end of workout 8.